Hello, my name is Josie. Welcome. You are listening to the Yoga at Local podcast, or maybe you're watching. Either way, welcome. I'm going to ask you today if you have ever felt like life is getting a little bit too fast-paced. Do you feel like you're caught in a speed cycle? Is there a sense of feeling overwhelmed a lot of the time? So I think that's pretty much most of our modern day kind of experience. And even if we did want to slow it down, I think a lot of us are afraid to slow it down. And then even if there's that part of us that says, yeah, I really need to find some time to be still, then we don't really know how or what to do with that stillness. So yoga, when it's taught as it's meant to be taught, serves as this reminder for us to apply the brakes even when we are not doing that for ourselves. It provides the teachings and the methods and the practical methodologies that will move us into that space. Maybe not this idea of just take a seat, be still, job done. It doesn't really work that way. It's not a good strategy to get the mind to just be still on demand. So these practices and these teachings are all moving us in the direction of stillness and spaciousness and quietude. And why? Well, because it's in the slowing down, in the act of slowing down, in the moving towards that stillness, that we reconnect to our breath, we reconnect to our bodies, we reconnect to our mind, and we going deeper than that, we connect to that inner sense of self that is connected to our innate sense of joy, happiness, creativity, and freedom. This connection just simply doesn't happen when we are caught up in that relentless cycle of doing, or when our minds are consumed with incessant thinking. One thought precedes another, which means that if we do have any desire at all to empower ourselves, beyond just merely being part of the rat race and following that kind of system of chasing our dreams and successes through external validation, manifesting material objects, if we want to empower ourselves beyond all that superficial stuff, then we have to get comfortable with stillness. So the good news is, if you're feeling like, how I don't know, if I can do this, I just want you to be aware it's not your fault. It's not your fault that that stillness is a really difficult thing for us to achieve. Society has long dictated that being still is a weakness, and also the resulting silence, right? The space that we suddenly find ourselves in when we slow things down and get still. That silence can often be deafening for some of us. It's quite a confronting place to be, and we need the teachings, we need the methods, and we need the teachers that are going to help us to navigate ourselves into that space. And that's what it develops with a consistent and dedicated practice. This is not something one and done, right? We create the landscape for the potential for stillness, for the potential for us to land in a space of creativity and wholeness. It's about moving us into that space systematically and kindly and lovingly, not just thrusting us into a dark room and telling us to be still and meditate. That just doesn't work. And as I said, the reason that we're seeking out that silent space is because that's where the creativity happens. That's where the potential lies, right? The busyness and the distraction and the overwhelm are what gets in the way of us connecting to that part of us that is deeply inspired, in spirit, creative, and able to kind of find solutions to problems, to figure things out. It's the best part of who we are, and we're kind of just drowning that out with the noise of life. So yes, sitting with yourself might not be easy, but the rewards from actually carving out that time are absolutely immeasurable. So take your seat. And it's true, right? Yoga is not the most obvious go-to tool for empowerment. Our Western minds often find it much easier for us to accept what's been corroborated by modern day science. And you'll see that cropping up. I see it all the time, podcast episodes, different experts, different methods that are knocking around in the modern world. That are merely, in my opinion, just corroborating the tradition and the teachings of the tradition. They're just being corroborated by modern science. But I want to be really clear, it's modern science that is catching up with the insights and the wisdom of the ancient sages. So I wanted to just examine some of the evidence for that, because I understand how it's much easier to move into something when you've kind of got the mind on board, when the intellect is satisfied that this is something that it wants to explore, then it makes it much more available to us. Otherwise we just get constant objections from the mind saying, telling us, well, this isn't for us, it's that's just ancient knowledge, it doesn't apply now. And I would really challenge that, because these teachings are as relevant today as they were 5,000 years ago, when they were first kind of brought into the world. So I've got a few things to show you or tell you about, some research, and that just might help you kind of make that jump from modern science to more ancient wisdom. So, for example, mindfulness and meditation practices. There's research such as John Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness-based stress reduction program, which really underscores the benefits of integrating stillness into our daily lives. It's proven to reduce stress, it's proven to reduce anxiety, depression, whilst also overall boosting our level of well-being, our cognitive function, and it highlights stillness as a catalyst for mental resilience and strength. So in the neuroscience of rest and creativity, we've got neuroscientists like Dr. Marcus Rochelle, who've reported on the significance of stillness in processes such as introspection, self-awareness, and creative thinking. So moments of restful states, including stillness, activate the brain's default mode, which nurtures our creativity and our problem-solving capabilities. So suddenly we're able to, find those solutions to those problems that sometimes that we're not accessing. From a philosophical perspective, we've got philosophers such as Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle, who are both advocates for stillness, and these stillness for them is a prerequisite for tapping into inner peace and connectedness and being in the present moment. And it's from this point of view that I believe that stillness is not a sign of weakness, but a real sign of inner strength and wisdom. We also have the productivity and focus kind of experts, and contrary to the popular belief that more activity, that perpetual activity, leads to heightened productivity, their research in productivity science says that sustained focus and concentration necessitate periods of stillness and uninterrupted contemplation. So embracing moments of quiet reflection is what enhances our capacity for deep and meaningful works, which ultimately fosters greater success and fulfillment. So there you have it. Physical health and stress reduction. So there's more. Studies in psychophysiology are also underscoring this physiological benefits of relaxation techniques, such as deep breathing, such as yoga nidra, such as guided imagery. The consistent practice of these techniques is eliciting the relaxation response. We know this from a scientific standpoint, and it's countering the detrimental effects of chronic stress on both body and mind. So there's an overwhelming body, that's just a little tip of the iceberg, but there's an overwhelming body of science and study that is starting to catch up with the the teachings of the ancient sages. Stillness is key to us accessing our deeper sense of self, our innate potential, that the part of us that is going to be able to do the more deep focused work, the part of us that is more joyful and blissful. So, this path towards stillness is a path that is, for the brave. It's the path that is for those that are looking to again move beyond the rat race and empower themselves into those kind of into those possibilities for complete fulfillment. So getting back to yoga as this path, as this progression, I mean, obviously stillness plays a big part of it, and within that we have many other different practices and teachings that kind of all work together as a complete system. It's a complete system. Often some of them have been extracted, like this method here, this method there, this teaching here, this teaching there. But yoga, as it's meant to be taught, is this complete holistic practice, and it's about bringing all aspects together. And of course, that's difficult to talk about because it is so broad. But ultimately, when you practice yoga as it's meant to be taught, you're being moved sustainably and systematically towards that potential. And each practice within the Hatha Yoga path, the moon, the sun, and the fire, they may vary in their intention. The moon is more about stabilizing the mind. The sun is about creating the solar energy and creating that inner fire, that potential to witness and see. And the fire practice is that kind of that practice that's going to accelerate us towards the ultimate potential for knowing who we are. They all share that common objective, which is to facilitate this deeper connection and to realize our true potential. It's all moving us along that ladder, along that chain towards that higher goal. And it's in the stillness that we light that internal flame that will propel us towards our highest sense of self. And in terms of, does it work? Well, to me, it's a 5,000-year-old science. Its efficacy stands up because these methods have been passed down and practiced for decades, right? For centuries. And they've stood the test of time, and the results are there for everyone to see. And it's just time that yoga kind of took its place really amongst the science, the more modern science, and took its place because it is a complete practice that it's going to move you to nurturing that inner transformation. So I would invite you to start trusting in that, maybe just being curious and opening your mind to the possibility that we have the tools, we have the teachings. They have been passed down to us generously, and all we have to do is follow them. So if you want to embrace more stillness in your life, if you want the methods, if you want the structure, if you want the step by step, then I encourage you to find a teacher or a studio that can walk you through that path. Nothing that is random, made up, sporadic, is going to give you that, the fuel. You need the map. You need the map. Otherwise, you're kind of like navigating a territory with a blindfold on. So yeah, trust in the process. Trust in a studio and a teacher that is going to walk you sustainably and systematically through this process, understanding that stillness is part of the deal. Getting still, slowing down, and that is going to be your real key to discovery, to self-discovery. Okay. So I hope you got something out of that. We have classes all throughout April, which are going to be reinforcing this idea of being still. If you struggle with being still, if you are one of these people that say, I can't sit still for toffee, then let's get started. Let's just practice. Let's take each day at a time, and just know that the results that you're going to get from it are going to be amazing. All right, I'll speak to you next time. Bye for now.